Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Torch Snuffers podcast. I am your host, Colin Connors. With me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Patrick Sullivan.
Howdy.
The Latina flavor, Alicia Garza.
Hey, y'all.
The always insightful Alex Cash.
What's up?
The third most beautiful man on the planet, Stephen Lehman.
Hi.
And our special guest tonight from Survivor Cook Islands, the one, the only Billy Garcia.
Woohoo!
Woo!
I like that. No woo from Patrick or Stephen or Alex. They seem to be tired of you. I'm not tired of you, Billy.
I would.
Did he woo? I don't know. We'll have to recheck the tape. Okay. We got a lot to talk about. It's the very beginning of Survivor, second chances, the third All-Star season ever in Survivor history. I'm hyped up. I know everyone else here is hyped up. And I kind of just want to jump right on into it. Okay. So, right off the bat, you had probes. You know, we saw the character introductions. I'm not going to go into details. Sure, people can say, well, Jeff said this, so that's eject. Vetus didn't get a confessional, and he got voted out first. That's eject. None of that stuff matters right now, in my personal opinion. I just want to start to the very beginning of the actual game itself, which was kind of the marooning, but with a twist. So, Billy, what are your thoughts on having the marooning be done in that manner, where it's, hey, there's basically a self-imposed time limit on it?
What I like is that the whole rating of a ship, which we did in my season of the Cook Islands, I think every season should have a jump start in that way. Instead of handing them with like they've done in the past, I don't know, 5 or 6 seasons where it's a ton of food to start the game is waiting for you at camp. I like whatever you got is what you have. That sounds better to me. And then the extra twist, which never been done before, is that there was a second ship that they had to make their way to, where there was a bag of rice waiting, but only for one tribe. Mm-hmm. The other tribe is, asked out. And asked out, a tribe that starts the game asked out just makes it for more hectic gameplay. Mm-hmm. They kind of start out like I got to make a move, like we're already on a losing streak.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ask you this, Billy, and anyone else can chime in. Did you think that losing streak actually hurt Bayon? Or do you think they took it as a loss for a challenge? Like, how do you think they interpreted that loss?
I think they interpreted that loss as, I better get my ducks in a row, which is something that was said a lot in this episode. Mm-hmm. Everybody wanted to start the game upon arrival on the beach. I remember trying that in my season, and it was like, Bill, I was Mr. Evil. I was the Grinch that stole Christmas. So I just love that the game has changed and that even though I in my season it backfired on me, it's working for a lot of people, including Jeff Barner.
And a kind of parallel can be drawn about that to, wow, I completely forgot my point. Holy crap.
It sounds like to me that Billy Garcia was kind of like a new school hipster. He was doing the new school before the new school was even in session.
And I was going to point out, it's interesting how Jeff Varner and Stephen, you're kind of a Survivor historian, was making same-day alliances. And another old-school player who did that was Michael Skupin in Philippines, and that carried him all the way to the final 3, whereas some of the other new schoolers seemed a bit more hesitant. Stephen, do you think that's a good move for Jeff to be trying to make these same first-day alliances, or do you think he should pull back a little bit?
I think for Varner, for him it's good because it shows that he's willing to adapt to a new game, or rather a new style. Because it's been, 14 years since he's played? I mean, I think it really shows some growth in him just in terms of gameplay and in terms of all the other things that he's willing to adapt to this new sort of high-paced game. So.
Okay, and Alicia, you want to jump in?
I actually had a question going back to the marooning, specifically for Billy, since you have actual experience doing it. Obviously, rice is important, but that boat that they were initially on had so much fruit and chickens and just like coconuts and bananas. So I personally, as I was watching, didn't understand the rush to get to the rice, because if you don't have to go get the rice, but you can get like all of the fruit on your raft, like, isn't that kind of, I don't know, better, but like, I just didn't understand why people were leaving.
Rice will last you longer.
Yeah.
What was that?
The rice will last you longer than fruit. The fruit will rot and get eaten by bugs, and you basically, it's got like a 5-day life to it, the fruit. Once that 5th day comes, I mean, you ever seen a banana that's been sitting in the grocery store for like a week, and it's got those dark stains on it and stuff? Now imagine that with like ocean water around you. Those dark stains will be all salty and not very tasty. And then with the bugs going in and out of them, and I guess bugs are protein, but still.
Yeah, it's not. You don't want to be eating the bugs on day one unless you're Mike, because that's typically not a winning strategy to be ingesting just whatever you can. So I'm gonna go ahead and I want to jump and talk a little bit about some of the same day alliances we saw, and a really interesting one occurred on Bayon, which was kind of this alpha male alliance with Jeremy, Tasha, Savage, and I know Tasha's not an alpha male, but come on, Savage and Joe. And Keith is kind of, somewhat configured with it. And Patrick, what it seems to me is like alpha male alliances always fail miserably. Do you think this one could be any different?
No, like you said, they fail miserably because they're gonna want to turn on each other before they get to the merge or anything like that, or it's an expected swap. Mm-hmm. And they're really competitive, and they're the alpha males for a reason, and there can only be one alpha, and so they're probably going to turn on each other.
Well, how quickly do you think it's going to happen? Because I actually have maybe a different thought about it. Do you think they're going to turn on each other like next week if they go to tribal council, or?
It's really interesting because it's an all-star season, and they've known who's the cast has been for a long time. So there's a lot of talk about pre-gaming, and so maybe one pre-game relationship or something is going to conflict with the interest of the group or whatever, and that could branch off and make different and splinter them, so who knows.
Well, and something about the pregame alliances, obviously we read about them. I know, Billy, you know all about them. They're everywhere. I will say this: Vitas and Varner were supposed to work together, so clearly pregame alliances, which is something that Probst has said, and even a lot of the players have said, they somewhat matter, but when you get your feet out there, they don't matter anymore. Like in Survivor Cambodia, Francesco was aligned with Andrea pregame, and Andrea wrote her name down just the same, and they targeted each other. And Billy, what do you think of the Alpha Male Alliance? Because I actually think that if given a chance, this Alpha Male Alliance is going to have really good legs because they're smart enough not to go after each other, because that's what doomed them last time.
Yeah, alpha male alliances, just like the all women alliances, you'll get the one that'll win out, like it did with Poverty and Micronesia with the all women. So you'll get the one here and there that'll do well, and I think we're due for one to do well. So I think it's just the law of averages that they're going to keep trying it, and one time it's going to work, and this might be the season where it's got a chance to work, especially since we have a female in Tasha that's willing to go along with it.
Mm-hmm. And another thing is that these alpha males seem to be smarter than the average Survivor brand of alpha males. Okay, Alex was first, and then Alicia.
All right. The thing that occurred to me was that Jeremy, as he was introducing the Alpha Alliance to us, he said it would be stupid of anyone to blow this up. And the fact that he is, openly dismissing someone who would blow it up as stupid kind of tells me that it's gonna happen. But I think, But I think, I predict it'll be early merge detonation, just because they can hide it under the pretext of we have to have there are so many good challenge performers this season that they got to have their best guns going against the other tribe, and then as soon as a merge hits, I know somebody on the other tribe.
Jeremy's like, I can work with Spencer or any of that stuff. Oh, I was gonna say this. Probst was saying pregame that he tried to make these tribes as even as possible. I feel like in males they're not even at all. I feel like Bayon has a way better group of guys.
Jeremy was talking about how Joe is a meat shield, and how all these big guys are meat shields, and so I definitely think that Bayon is stacked, and that's also kind of a reason that I think they might stick together better, is that they realize, hey, I'm gonna be one. I'd rather be one of 4 big, huge guys coming into merge, because then maybe I can kind of shift the target away a little. And then we also had a confessional from Andrew Savage, just praising Joe, just going on and on about how wonderful Joe was and how impressive he was. And so I feel like there might be a mutual respect already forming, and so that is also, I think, a little bit indicative that this might go the distance, or at least a longer distance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying either of them. I don't honestly think any of them have a really good shot of winning, but I definitely think all of them are going to make it pretty far. And I mean, if they do go to tribal council, you have Cass on your tribe. That's the easiest furnace boot ever in the history of the game. And then let's talk about kind of the elephant in Bayon Tribe, which is Steven Fishback. Billy, I don't know if you're a Steven fan. I assume you are, but this is heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. Just a quick touch on the last subject before going on Steven. When you have a tribe that's stacked with males, that's usually an indication that there's going to be a lot of like not physical challenges going forward, like puzzle challenges and stuff. And that's why these alpha male alliances tend to blow up because they go to tribal council so often. Going on Steven Fishback, he had the same start his first go around, so I expect him to recover. Especially if his tribe goes on a winning streak. If his tribe goes on a winning streak, then he has all the time to schmooze his way in, which is his style. His style isn't to be the guy that everybody walks up to and says, I want an alliance with you. His style is to be the sort of, hey, I'm your best buddy. Like, let's hang out. And next thing you know, he's on the inside.
Steven, what do you think?
As a fellow Steven, I'm a big,
Much as Alicia speaks for all women, you have to speak for all Stevens. So,
no, I'm a big Fishback fan, and it's to sort of echo what's been said. He did have that same start on Tokenshiens. He did find JT, but it wasn't until I think it was like the second episode or so. But I hope he can recover. I like to think he has a good enough read on folks that he can call his way out of this, but I'm worried for him.
See, I'm more along with you, and part of it is they did show a shot of every single person that came together, and they were like, where's Steven? And Kimmy, that bitch Kimmy, was like, oh, I bet he's looking for the idol. Just immediately throwing him under the bus. And I feel like if people have that mindset, it would be much harder for him to recover, but there could be a swap or something.
Yeah, there could be a swap. You know what? I also like a lot of this season looks like it's going to be very twisty, like Cook Islands, where don't be surprised if they throw a one-time only twist like they did with the mutiny on my season. So that was a unique way of doing a tribe swap. If it were me, if I were playing on there, I would have told my whole tribe to get off the mat and force a merge. But that would have been just me.
That would have been no one's done that.
What I will say is this: when it comes to twist, what we talk about on the podcast is stuff that's basically either been thrown out there by CBS or heavily implied. For instance, we know, and I'm assuming you know this too, Billy, that there is a third tribe buff. We don't know when it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen at 18 because that makes a bit more sense, or it could happen at 15. But if we are getting ready to swap at 18, that's kind of interesting because not only does that destroy any pregame alliances ever, but it means that these alpha male alliances and all these edits we're getting right now may not actually be that big of a factor.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think 18 is probably the likeliest spot just because in theory, the genders could even out to where it's 3 and 3 on each tribe. If it's at 15, then you got a Cook Island situation where you'll have three females and 2 males on one tribe, and 3 males and 2 females on another tribe, and so on.
And who wants to be outnumbered by girls? Come on.
Well, I can tell you, Sekou Bunch did not. Speaking of which, I kind of predicted the way this was going as I was watching this, because I was yelling at I was looking at the screen and saying, "Where's Rudy Bosch to call out Jeff Garner as the 6th female? Come on, where's Rudy Bosch?"
Well, and I was gonna say, when it comes to tribe strength, I mean, you have Spencer who's okay, but then you have Varner who's completely out of shape. Alicia, you wanted to jump in real quick.
Oh, I was just going to let you know, I couldn't hear you as well just now, so you might want to lean in closer to your mic.
Oh, no.
That's all.
Yeah, things got quieter, but I thought I had just...
Quiet. Okay. Well, you guys can hear me well now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely look at that in post. Just for all you Tort Snuffer listeners, first off, you might be going, wait, weren't you guys the Reality Game Form podcast? No, now we're Tort Snuffers, and our name will never, ever change again. I promise you. And we have a beautiful new logo, and we have new equipment to make it so we sound as beautiful as we are on the inside. Or as beautiful as Stephen is on the inside.
Oh.
Anyways, thanks for that, Alicia. We're definitely going to look at that in post. Okay, so we also did get to see some fun moments on Bayon. Like, for instance, Keith. Keith is back to just being Keith. He was talking about, what was it, Joga? And Keith getting the spin, Keith doing that. Now, Alex, can Keith win this season?
No.
No way.
No way. Is he just going to be comic relief? Or, because, I mean, we saw him mess up really bad in that challenge, and I think that could be like, hey, he might be out of his element this time.
Yeah, well, I think the reason that he can't win is even if he's going, even if he, pulls out his ball tricks and
He was great with balls.
does well in the challenges, he's still going to be considered out of his depth strategically just because of how he comes off. Because, I mean, I know that there are a lot of instances of people putting on like a southern accent and a folksy demeanor in order to make people underestimate them.
Like Mike
you have
Huckabee.
JT and Natalie and Roger Bingham from Australia. But Keith's like that times about 5 or 10.
So, yeah, Keith has no shot. So he's just here for a few laughs.
I'd say so.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about Bayon. Let's move to the Green Tribe. What I actually wanted to talk about was how much I loved the idea of a Spencer and Terry alliance, but that's not the case because they voted for different people. Okay, Patrick, what do you make of Spencer already kind of lying and manipulating Terry? Because I see that as a horrible thing to do right off the bat. I think he's going to put a huge target on himself.
Well, Spencer did talk about being more social with everyone than he ever was on Cagayan. So maybe they just showed that, but there's a lot that they left out about Spencer going around talking with other people and making other, I don't know, possible alliances or anything.
Well, and I guess anyone can jump in on this. There's a difference between being social and nice than kind of, lying to people and leading people the wrong way. And it seems like that's the kind of like the thread you have to, weave in order to survive in Survivor. Steven, did you want to hop in? No, okay. Anyways.
I think if you're going to lie, you want to save, you want to pick your battles. Because 39 days, it's hard to remember all your lies. It's hard to go back and remember. You told this guy one thing and you told this other person another thing, and it's hard to keep track of it. You don't have anything to write it all down with.
You could be like Vesipia and have it on a notebook.
Oh yeah, the journal.
Yeah, Vesipia's journal. What if someone did that? A Survivor player had like a notebook and they're like, okay, nobody look in this notebook. Okay, I told this person I went to Cambridge, this person I went to community college. Just
that reminds me of the mole. If they could play Survivor like the mole, it'd be insane.
Oh, that'd be.
So,
going back to the Terry Spencer thing really quick, I kind of think it's crazy of Spencer to not immediately align or like get in like really tight with Terry. Specifically because Terry's not going to sit there and be like, oh, sorry, kids. I know you like told me explicitly like Spencer was really solid, but I'm going to totally disregard you and do my own thing. Like Terry kind of is beholden to his kids in that way and already told Spencer that. And so I think Spencer completely wasted that opportunity.
Whereas Andrew Savage's kids brought Andrew and Joe together, Spencer...
I
there we go.
I completely think that this episode sort of showcased like how like he thought he was the everything.
Wait, can I stop you, Steven? How much of did you guys lose me? Did everyone lose me or just Alicia?
I could hear you just fine the entire time.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
fine.
So Steven, go ahead.
Okay.
So I was gonna say this premiere sort of framed not to sort of take a page out of Jeff Varner's book, but with the whole crotch framing. No, this sort of framed Spencer in a light that I had seen him in before, and that he's a little up his own butt, so to speak. I don't actively dislike him, but I do think he was too self-assured that he was going to be able to do this and that and the other, and it's like, girl, it's like day 3, like, breathe.
You probably won't be the first one out because you're a fit male.
Yeah, basically.
Even though Vetus was the first one out, which I've been kind of avoiding talking to that for a lot of reasons. So we're going to talk about Abby Maria, and I actually think even though she's entertaining, she kind of falls in the same category as mentioned to me as she's someone that is not growing at all. I don't think she will change. Anyone disagree?
She didn't.
I agree in that. Well, I agree that she hasn't changed, but at the same time, I think in the first episode we saw her make a very conscious effort to try to be different. She just failed miserably at it. That's all.
Well, and then an Abby and PG fight. They voted together, right?
Correct.
Yes. So that makes me think that this fight, it probably doesn't mean anything in the long run. And even if it did, I think PG could outmaneuver Abby Maria because she's Abby Maria. Okay. The only other thing I wanted to harp on was the Varner PG alliance and how that is a match made in heaven.
Yes.
Reddit will love that match, much like Reddit hates me. And I have a tangent for how Reddit hates me, but I'm actually saving that because I have 3 tangents I need to go on now. Wow. 2 of which about preseason stuff, and 1 about actually tonight's episode. And I'm trying to, stretch them out so that way there's not just 2 hours of me yelling. Because I am warning you, Billy, how this podcast ends is going to get pretty bad. And
okay.
You might know some of why, and you might not. And for the listeners out there, we'll wait till we get there. Okay.
All right.
I'm so scared right now.
Oh gosh.
I think you heard part of it when I went on it. Bayon, we've covered them. I think they're looking good. I think they're probably going to win the next challenge, but hopefully there'll be a swap, and if not, we'll see. Okay. I did want to talk about how no matter who got voted out, it was probably going to be one of the saddest first boots ever because this preseason cast and this pre-game has been so much more intense than any other. And Billy, how great is it that Survivor is kind of back in the limelight again and we finally get to see something like a second chance season? I mean, you went on the ballot, which is bullshit, but...
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. What's great about the second chances working so well is kind of the same thing with every time they do a twist, like fans versus favorites or blood versus water. When it does well, there's going to be a second one. So even though I wasn't in the ballot the first go around, so long as they do another one or even a third one, eventually I'll be on the ballot. If for no other reason, just because they're running out of people.
And I'm gonna say, if I play and I get voted out third, I'll be on the ballot. Final 2 for second chances, 2 or 3.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bam. Hashtag get Colin on Survivor. Anyways, we did get the hashtag Joga, which was interesting and fun. Okay, so before we get to wrapping this up, Kelly Wentworth did get an idol, which how many of y'all were disappointed that she didn't immediately try to grab it right when she put the raft down? Because to me, it would have been so easy to pretend like you're just coughing or something and reach up and grab it. Why do you think she was hesitant? And Alex, go ahead.
I think she was hesitant because she was surrounded by people and it's easy to lose your nerve. But I think she actually picked a better time to go after it because it's the same technique that pickpockets use, where if there's something interesting happening in the street, then everyone's attention is focused that way. And if their attention is elsewhere, then they're wrapped by, Joe almost getting the pole there. They're not going to be looking behind them to see if somebody's doing some shady stuff.
And that's fair. I mean, I still think she did have a grand opportunity just to literally walk up to it and and I don't know why I did that. This is a podcast. People can't see me. Dip down and just put your hand up there and grab it. Okay. And we all love.
I'll just say.
Okay, go ahead, Billy.
I was just gonna say everybody watch your wallets around Alex now.
That could become a little stereotype.
He seems to know a lot about pickpocketing.
Alex is like, when I go to New York and I make my rent money, this is what I do. I put up a no pickpocketing sign so that way people touch their wallets and I know where they are. Okay, and then Alicia, you want to jump in real quick?
I was actually surprised that Kelly was able to go back after the challenge was, I guess, still going, but they were past that point. Because I was under the impression that it was you get kind of one shot, and once you're past that, you're not really allowed to meander on back. But apparently, that was not the case.
Well, wouldn't that be great if, towards the end, one tribe's like, okay, we're going to lose immunity, guys, so I actually need to go to that puzzle block at the very beginning, 100 feet away. I'll be right back. Patrick, you wanted to say something.
Well, Well, to Alicia's point, what were they going to do? Stop her and be like, no, you can't.
Probst is like, no.
But I was going to echo exactly what Alex said. She picked the perfect opportunity because when they were all on the beach and putting it down, anyone could have seen her. And I noticed she was wearing, like, I think, enough clothes to try to conceal it. So, yeah, right when everyone was watching the most exciting part of the challenge, no one was looking back. So I think good on her. She did really well. That's probably what I would have done.
Future note
Well, I
to
mean-
all future Survivor players: wear cargo shorts. That's what. That's
yeah.
That's how Kelly was able to conceal the clue and the hidden immunity idol. Cargo shorts. They're very
True that,
baggy.
true
You
that.
don't see the lumps.
Yeah.
Well, I plan on dressing in layers at all time in case they maroon me randomly. Like, I'm gonna have like a business suit on, and then cargo shorts and like a bathing suit, and then like 3 pairs of underwear with some socks punched in it. It's gonna be great.
Oh,
Who
it's-
was it that made a fake bulge to pretend like they had an idol?
Oh,
That
yeah,
was
Rupert.
Rupert.
that was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Got to
Well,
get that bulge on.
Yeah. Inside story. Cook Islands. They were threatening the start the game in the middle of the night, so I slept with my shoes on the whole night before the game, and then I got a reputation for being somebody who sleeps with his shoes on afterwards.
So like day 2, you want to take your shoes off, but you're like, no, I can't let them know I thought this far. This is stupid.
Actually, night 1, I was slipping off my shoes, and they were like, "Oh, don't you like normally sleep with your shoes on?" And I was like, "Ooh."
You're like, shut up, Ozzy.
Yeah, I was like, pre-game reputation. This is gonna blow.
Oh god. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is Vetus was eliminated tonight from Tribal Council. Now, Vetus was my winner pick, and he's out of the game. It's okay. I've made a lot of crazy picks in the past, and I knew it was bound to catch up to me. I thought it was going to catch up to me with Keith, but that was actually turned out to be a pretty good one. But Vetus's game this time around, and I'm hoping tomorrow when we actually listen to him talk, it's going to be a little bit better, but it sounds to me like he was just awful. You know, always trying to touch the girls and always doing the yoga. And even if he wasn't doing that all the time, even doing that just a little bit seems like way out of line. Like, maybe you could be like, hey, let's go do yoga in the sun, and anyone that comes with me, kind of like with Kelly, is one thing. But to be like physically touching people just seems really weird, especially someone like Shireen. That just seems like a horrible
yeah.
move.
Yeah.
It seems like he didn't even watch the season.
Yeah, with Shireen, it was a blunder, but I think he was trying to do things that worked for him in Blood versus Water, and this was just the wrong group of people.
And I mean, I think he sort of realized that it would have been it's easier to come off as snakes in front of people like, you know, PG, people that are used to looking for snakes. People that have already, you know, survived a couple, you know, rounds of Survivor. Real quick though, I am actually not a big fan of heading instantly to Tribal Council. Does anyone want to talk about that? Because especially I feel like with the first boot, it's just a little rushed. Okay, Steven, what do you think?
I think at this point in the game, you're on your tribe for 3 days. I don't think it's as damning as like a situation like Fiji where it's like, hey, by the way, we're dividing up into groups of 5. By the way, after this, we're going to Tribal Council. Like, have fun. I think at this point, it's sort of like expedient, and it's sort of speeding up the process because like they have to go all the way back to camp, then they have to go back to tribal. I mean, I think it makes.
Do you think
plus,
the
like,
van driver was just tired?
I think that's a possibility, but I do think that in an instance like this where you've been on your tribes for 3 days, I think realistically the dynamics, at least initially, have shaken out. So yeah.
Okay, and then Alex, and then Alicia.
All right. The thing I wanted to say about going directly to Tribal Council was it felt forced because if you looked at that challenge, it was broad daylight and they just slapped a yellow filter. It looked like somebody peed on my TV. And like, so I think, and it didn't occur to me why they would do that until they said, we're going to Tribal Council directly after. And I'm like, are you trying to make me think it's sunset? Because you're not fooling me. It just, it felt more contrived because of that than if they had just, done it normally.
Yeah, you didn't know. I feel you about the filter. And I'll even throw in, these monkeys sure do look familiar.
True. Okay, and then Alicia, you had something you wanted to add.
Yeah, that's actually what was confusing to me. Was it seemed kind of like broad daylight, and then suddenly it was dark as hell, and they were in tribal council immediately after. And so I was just going to ask Billy, as an insider, how long does it actually take to get like from one place, usually camp, to the tribal council? Isn't it like a much longer process than like a little stroll along the beach with your torch?
Okay, I'm gonna give you the super insider.
Sweet.
Usually when you're leaving to tribal council from your island or your beach or whatever, they'll film you leaving. In our case, we had to get on a canoe and paddle out, and a helicopter circled us about 20 times, and then we have to turn around and come back. And then when we turn around and come back and leave the canoe behind, they'll put us on a speedboat, take us there, drop us off on a replica of the canoe, and then we get up out of the canoe, and they film that, and then we go over to a holding area where they wait until the moonlighting is perfect, and then once the moonlighting is perfect, then we walk in with our torches and light them and sit down. And
That's amazing.
All told, it's about 3 hours of the process. And then tribal council itself is like 2.5 hours. So it's like a 5.5 hour event to do tribal council. Yeah.
And
And during those 3 hours, can you talk to anybody?
No, you're
Okay.
You're on what was the terminology they used? Gag order. You were on gag order.
Ooh.
And
That's
so
some vision magic right there.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Billy, because recently Troyzan did an AMA for Reddit, and Reddit hates me, but that's a story for next week, unless I have another freak out, where he basically said that Kim was able to get him voted out because on the van to tribal council, Kim was whispering to people to vote for Jay and get Troy to play his idol.
wow.
So it's interesting how little details like that kind of, I think sometimes people like to put asterisks on the game, but, we'll see if it actually means anything.
Like Troy's end.
Here's the truth, man. There's no rules. You get told rules by the producers, and the producers will say production is not part of the game, but that's complete BS. Like, if a cameraman is running in a certain direction, shit's going down. You gotta go run too.
Yeah.
You know?
And then Alex, you wanted to harp on that.
No, I didn't. That was just me. Like, yeah.
Just thumbs up. We got it. And also, listeners, we're doing hand signals to help kind of, keep the flow of conversation going. And it's very interesting because Alex is like stretching and stuff and clearly not indicating me. But I'm a narcissist, so I'm like, oh, clearly when he's scratching his head, that means he wants to talk. And because I'm so great. Okay. So, I believe it's rant time.
Okay.
Vetus was voted out in 5-4 vote. He's the first person out to survive. What? You're right, 6-4. I'm sorry. And basically, there are two pieces of information from this season that have been widely spoiled regarding character boots. Vetus being one of the first people out was one of them. And the way this happened is Vetus, after he was voted out, got on Instagram and liked a photo, knowing full very well that people are going to be looking at his Instagram, knowing very well that people would easily put together, hey, I liked a photo. So that clearly means I'm out of the game and somehow I got access to my cell phone. To me, this is absolutely complete bullshit. The castaways should not have any access to any social media whatsoever, and if they do, they should be way more careful than to like a photo. I'm having a hard time believing deep down that this is not something malicious he did because he was, upset about being voted out first. And also, I take it as an insult as a fan, as someone who voted him into this game, for him to spoil his position like that. It is downright disgusting to do that. You're messing up the whole purpose of this game by being so obvious about your boot order. It's not like people had to, hunt something down or, take secret photos of Ponderosa. They just had to look at his Instagram page. Something anyone could do on accident. And I'm sorry that I'm a fan of Survivor and I like following the survivors on Instagram. That shouldn't spoil any future seasons for me. So, in a small dose, I do blame production for letting it happen, but I also blame Vetus for having the audacity to like a photo and basically spit in the face of all of his fans. Okay.
To harping on your point, when the pre-jury is eliminated, they go to the Ponderosa, but then when half of them are at the Ponderosa, they get sent to a location. In my case, it was Northern Australia, where the production is no longer around. They're still at the shoot location. So handlers are now handling it. and we get $100 a day to not call home, to not, not do anything that would spoil the season. And what I think happened is he went to an internet cafe or something, and he went and checked his stuff, and then in a moment of not paying attention or whatever, he went and liked the photo. So I don't know if he did it on purpose to stick it to Survivor for going out early, but I do think that he should have never went to the internet cafe, because we were not supposed to go to an internet cafe. We're not supposed to log into anything, including our emails.
Can't you unlike stuff? Can't you, I mean, I don't know much about Instagram, but you can unlike a photo, right? If you do like it, similar to Facebook.
I think you can, yeah. I think so, yeah.
Okay, so you can. I am just so frustrated and upset because, like I said, it's not like I went on Survivor sucks. It's not like I did any of that. It's just, hey, you're spoiled, LOL. And for a season as hyped up as this, and, because we're also emotionally invested, to have something like that happen, because, I mean, I don't know how many people here knew that spoiler. I think most of y'all did.
I did.
No?
But I
Okay,
also
Steven
don't
did.
I didn't know.
any Survivors on
Okay.
Instagram.
Yeah, so it's still just, for me, it's just kind of heartbreaking. I mean, I had to do the whole preseason podcast knowing full well that Vetus went out early. And, I mean, I understand why. Okay, so with all that being said, let's talk about next week's episode. My prediction, Bayon wins again, Takiano fractures more, and Varner has like more of a midlife crisis. Fair?
I thought it was like a midlife adventure or something.
Oh yeah, it was a midlife
Midlife
quest.
quest.
Midlife quest. Yeah.
So does any... Go ahead.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Bayon loses. And I'm gonna say the alpha male stick together, and it's gonna be one of Cass or Sierra.
That would be
But
interesting.
I would lean towards Cass, unfortunately. But
Well, we didn't see much of Cass. All we saw of her this episode was her being like, "I'm gonna be evil, and I've changed."
that was
but
more.
I'm
That was
gonna
more
be
Tasha
evil."
though.
Yes.
Tasha was like. That entire evil Tasha segment was just like bizarre for me when she had that confessional. Oh yeah, so I came home and I didn't want to disappoint my church, but they all said it was okay. So now I'm gonna lie and backstab. I'm like, oh wow, that's
Well, that seemed a little rehearsed to me, being like, and I'll pray for personally. I don't know, Billy. What did you think? Did that seem a little rehearsed? It seemed like Tasha, was trying to like definitely play up like, "Ooh, I'm so evil now." Yeah, which when someone is putting on a masquerade or something like that, it makes me think that it's not gonna last.
Yeah, it's probably something that she said in the casting process to be included in the what do you call it, the pool. The pool, yeah, the short list, the pool. So I think just like I had something that got me through the into the final 50. I think she had something in that sort of sense, and so now she was under the pressure to go ahead and do that, even though she may not have felt that way anymore, or it was forced because she clearly had
like
said
in
it
episode 4.
Yeah, clearly
it
sounded like
still
she
evil.
said it many times.
Yeah.
Well, good for her, and I hope she follows through and is entertaining. That's all I can say about it.
I do agree. Okay, now before we wrap things up, I already went on a soapbox rampage. Does anyone have any other soapbox rampages they want to go on? And just wait till I talk about Reddit. That's going to be fun next week.
All right.
Oh, wait, hold on. Alicia. She just said, have I done a winner pick? Let me check. Yes, you have.
Did
It's
I get
Andrew
Andrew
Savage.
Savage?
Yes, you got Andrew Savage.
Yes. Okay.
Let
me go.
Just making sure.
I haven't gotten
Okay. Let me go over the winner picks, okay? Oh, and here's how this works, listeners. We all pick a winner, and the person who gets the closest wins a prize. The prizes have ranged from like a box of ants, some pizza, the book Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy, $5 at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. So what I'm doing for Survivor's Second Chance is that if you win, you get to pick any past prize I've offered. It is your second chance to win a Nerf football. It's your second chance to win Beret nose strips. It's your second chance to win a copy of Brain Age. It's your second chance to have me not buy you pizza because you live in Canada and your name is Elise. And I'm not doing that.
Hi, Elise.
Yes.
she's here with us in spirit. Oh.
Yeah, Elise is here with us in spirit. Okay, so let's go over the winner picks. Alex has Monica. Elise has Steven Fishback. Jack has Sierra. Patrick has Kimmy, Alicia has Andrew Savage, Billy Garcia has Terry Dietz, and I have Spencer. So okay.
And I have
No, not really. I have
You don't get a
Vetus, and
second
I'm
chance on your
out.
winner pick.
Yeah.
and I have PG Law. So
All right.
And you do have PG Law. I don't know why that's on the list. And yes, it's my second chance as a winner pick, so I'm usurping Steven and taking PG. No.
Can I,
So yes.
mine to Shane Powers? Because we're
Oh.
like in an alternate universe where he actually got on.
Well, and actually, I will say T-Bird did get an invisible edit tonight, sadly.
well, she's gonna come back at Merge and dominate. So I have faith in her.
And then I am going to have to institute a T-Bird Shane ban, sadly, because I feel like every episode is going to talk about them, and we should mourn a little bit, but it's time to move on. Okay, so I want to thank everybody so much for joining. I want to thank Patrick, Steven, Alex, Alicia, and the wonderful Billy Garcia. Billy, I want you to know your videos attract way more clicks than any other person. People care more about you than Richard Hatch. Take that for what it is. I think that means that if you get on the second chance ballot, you have at least us 5 always voting for you, and probably most of
tweeting
Latin
out,
America.
like getting people. in.
Thanks. You know
Yes.
what? You know what? If I were on that ballot this time and not make it, I would have totally been like, "Hey, how about an Outcast twist where we show up like near the merge and we could just compete and 2 of us get voted in? How about that?"
And Andrew Savage has a violent war flashback.
Oh, that would be great.
That would
And we
be-
all, of course, do love the challenges, being harking back, and Kelly's still
Yeah.
hosting, so that's kind of funny. I think it'd be funny if they did do the Outcast twist and then just not vote the people back in. Like,
and
just scare
Lillian
the
and
crap out
Lillian
of
came
the-
back. No.
Colin, when you talked in earlier about the third buff, my mouth actually dropped open because I thought you were insinuating that there was an Outcast twist. Obviously not. However, that would be great.
No, I think they're switching
Alright.
the team, which will be really interesting because like some of the most popular seasons in the past, like Hagayan, had 3 tribes.
But
And
so
it-
did All Stars.
Yeah,
Well-
it's going to be great. Hopefully around 18. All
Yeah,
right.
hope so.
Alex, so you have a soapbox?
All right, my soapbox is, and this is going to be a highly controversial statement. I'm throwing it out there for food for thought. Jeff Farner getting bit on the ass was funnier than Cool Flying Fish.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's a high bar, but I think it is up there.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
I need to do more
damn,
research.
Alex. Greg Buis
Alex is thrown out there.
flying fish?
And that is a question, I think, for the ages, and that's how I'm going to leave you guys. All right, so once again, thank you, everybody, so much. A special thanks to you, Billy. I hope you had fun. I know I did. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.